Hello, I'm Chris Barker.
And I'm Will Betts, and this is the MusicTech My Forever Studio podcast brought to you in partnership with Audient. And we're coming to you this time from TYX in Tileyard Studios, London.
That's right, in this podcast we speak with producers, engineers, DJs and musicians about their fantasy forever studio.
The dream studio that our guests come up with is one that they're going to have to live with forever. But even in Studio Foreverdom, we have a few rules.
Yes, the rules. So, our guests get a DAW, an audio interface and a computer. Those are free. But then they only get 6 other bits of studio kit plus 1 luxury item.
We do have one more important rule though, don't we, Chris?
Yes, we do.
No bundle!
Choosing something sold as a separate package of hardware or software together as a bundle is not allowed.
This time we're joined by a critically acclaimed British house music producer whose sample-heavy production sound has earned him over 60 million streams.
Yep, and with continuous remixes, releases and the DJ touring schedule, he's busier than ever. But I still think we can upsell some dreams today.
Let's see if we can. This is My Forever Studio with Laurence Guy.
Laurence, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Very good, very good.
Good.
So, we hear you've done some prep for the podcast today. This is
I had a little
fresh.
look, yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to make sure that I didn't just waffle on about random stuff, which I probably still will do anyway.
Have you heard the podcast though? 'Cause
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
basically,
check that out.
Yeah, it's basically waffle. So
I just made sure that I'd got a couple of things set in stone, and then
Okay.
I'll try and work the others out on the fly.
Well, before we get to that, I guess let's talk a little bit about sort of your career so far and getting started in the biz and and your background, especially with regards to sort of studio and kit.
So I basically started off when I was 12 years old, and I bought a copy. Well, my mum bought me a copy of Hip Hop EJ. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah. Is that
I had them
PlayStation?
No, it was on PC, but in PC World, you had all these different genres of EJ, and basically it's just a sequencer with a load of loops put in, and you drag and drop the loops. But you can also edit the sequences a little bit, so you can go a bit further. And when I started doing that, I realised that it was a lot of fun, and then I moved on to Fruity Loops, like most people at that time, and then was just obsessed with that for the next... I probably used that for about 10 years, and then I moved to Logic, and now I've moved to Ableton.
So it's not using EJ anymore.
Not using EJ.
That's a great
But
show.
I might bring it back, to be fair.
But specifically hip hop though. So you were.
I didn't really know the
Okay.
difference between most of them. I just sort of thought you had dance music EJ, hip hop, trance. What else? They had everything you could think of, and that's just the one that had the coolest cover. So I was like, I'll go for that.
Okay, so it wasn't like you didn't want to be a hip hop producer specifically.
Not specifically, no. I kind of was into probably more band orientated music. I think I was into Korn and Incubus and stuff like that for a bit. I was also into hip hop. I got into drum and bass pretty early, around similar sort of time.
So heavy music, essentially,
Basically, the kind of drum and bass I was into initially was essentially the emo equivalent of electronic music. Technical Itch or Current Value, really extreme angsty music, which is kind of for me felt the same as all the angsty bands.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So as soon as you got FL, you were trying to specifically more make stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Heavy drum and bass was the goal.
Okay.
I never quite got there.
And do you still delve into doing that even if stuff doesn't come out? You're like, what's...
I make a lot of drum and bass still.
Yeah.
More liquid stuff. I basically just sort of mellowed out over the years in everything. So I'm no longer like an angry 12-year-old.
Yeah.
More like a mellow 32-year-old. So.
Nice.
Ish.
So let's talk about a location for this dream studio as well, and I mean, where's your studio now? Is it at home, or do you go somewhere?
At the moment, I've got one that I rent with my older brother that's just down the road from my flat.
Okay.
But essentially I like to make most of my music just on the laptop at home. So just on the kitchen table. So it's
It's kind of pre-production, then go to the studio.
Yeah. If I'm writing stuff, then I don't really sit down and say I'm going to do this for 8 hours. It's more I'll start a loop, then I'll go make a coffee, then I'll go for a walk, then I'll continue the loop, then I'll make lunch. It's all very integrated into my day. So there's no pressure. It's just if I feel like doing it, I'll do it. And then once I've got a bit together, I'll take it to the studio and spend a day or two in there, solid work, finishing it off. So yeah, that's how I work best, basically. Just sort of a bit breezy.
So is that separation something that you like, or ideally in your Dream Forever studio, would you have it in the room next door? Or...
If it was in the forever one, like ideally, I'd probably be living in the same space.
So let's talk about that. Where are we gonna put this? Like where in the world or in the
I'm
universe?
going to go for there's a place called Fontainebleau, which is in France, which is about 45 minutes from Paris. Basically, my main other passion in life is rock climbing, and it's kind of the epicenter of a form of rock climbing called bouldering, which is essentially climbing smaller rocks without ropes. And it's somewhere I've been going since I was about 15, 16, really regularly. I find it like a super peaceful place. It's a really nice place to be around. Doesn't matter how I'm feeling. If I go there, I kind of get lifted up. So I want the studio to be in the middle of sorry, I should have said it's a massive forest. Did I say that?
All right, so it's like so it's a forest filled with like massive boulders.
It's a forest filled with loads of boulders. Yeah, thousands and thousands of boulders.
Wow.
So
what kind of height are these? I know this isn't really music tech, but like...
I mean, it varies. So some of them are really small. Some of them are kind of big and dangerous and scary. So you can pick like how intense you want to be about it.
Yeah, because it's rope free, I guess. Yeah,
exactly. And they're kind of bundled up into circuits. So you have different difficulties. And there might be maybe 50 boulders as part of one circuit. They've got little colours painted on them.
So it's slightly organised.
It's slightly organised, yeah. It's like a real thing.
Like a park for it, rather than it being
kind of like, but a natural one.
Yeah.
But they've developed it over the years. So yeah, you just sort of go around the forest climbing any boulders you want, and it's just a really good way to kind of get into the same kind of flow state you want to be in when you're making music, basically. Just pure concentration.
So we're roping off this whole area for your studio then?
Well, the studio is going to be just bang in the middle of the forest, I reckon. So have you ever seen that film Ex Machina?
Yes.
Yeah.
The entrance to his, or actually just his whole place, kind of like sunken somewhere into the forest.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like a huge complex with
but a little less
open
evil.
Windows.
Not
evil.
Not evil.
But for like a lot of subterranean business going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But
okay.
Maybe not actually. Maybe just like a big glass box in the middle of the forest.
Ooh. Okay. Nice.
But also, I don't want everyone to be able to see it. I don't know. Maybe a bit of mix of both.
So some nice big windows so you can see into the forest, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Like a big open plan.
You can boo people that falling off boulders.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it'll be a little bit hidden away from the main bit. But yeah, somewhere in the massive forest.
Amazing.
That's cool.
And so how important is that to you then to feel connected to the outside world when you're in the musical?
It's really nice, yeah. I like I was saying, kind of with the writing process, it's not like I don't hunker down and do it. It's like I'll do a little bit and then do anything else and then do a little bit more. So ideally, like I do a little bit, I go climb, maybe go into like the little French village and get some food and, drink a bit of wine at lunchtime, go back, do a bit more. Just sort of real.
It's actually
leisurely.
good for the creative process, that though, because you find out ideas are bad a lot faster, if you know what I mean.
Exactly,
Because you're not. Sometimes you can commit too early.
Yeah.
Too many hours too early, and it was never
You need time to ruminate on things, basically. So if you do anything else other than making music, you're going to kind of figure out the key to the tracks a bit quicker, I think, rather than just being like, I'm going to figure this out right now, making it really intense and sort of just working yourself into a frenzy. Which works for a lot of people, but not for me.
And what's the sort of vibe in the studio like? How do you like studios to be like? And have you been to anybody else's studio or commercial studios that you've loved or hated, like places where you go, this just doesn't vibe for me? I haven't
been to loads, to be honest. I mean, what I'd like it to be is pretty simple. Not a lot of stuff in there, so everything kind of like.
Well, good news.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's perfect. There's even maybe even too much stuff, but like really comfortable, really light. Maybe like a nice sofa. Stick a nice bed in there.
Yeah.
Wooden stuff, wooden everything.
Yeah.
Like
kitchen.
Yeah. Just nice open plan, really bright, really airy. Lots of plants.
LDK as a studio.
Could have an LDK, yeah.
A living kitchen dining.
LKD.
Yes, yeah,
LKD,
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I could live that life for sure.
Yeah. Nice, okay. All right then, well, with that in mind, let's get on to our three free items: the audio interface, DAW, and what kind of computer you're using, basically.
Okay, so the computer, I guess I'd just go for like the most stacked up Mac laptop you can get.
So you're going laptop?
Yeah, I think so, just in case I want to take it. I mean, am I allowed to have a laptop in my life outside of the studio?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, laptop. In that case, yeah, a laptop. I'm not too techie about computers, so just whatever they say the best one is, max out all of the RAM or whatever.
Well, it'd be pretty chunky, won't it, now?
Make sure it works.
Was it M2 now they're on, I think?
Yeah. Solid state drive, all that stuff, whatever
all the
it
beefy
means.
goodness.
So yeah, one of those. And then the audio interface, this is what I was looking at yesterday, because I was going to go for an Apollo, like the classic UAD that I'm sure many people have chosen.
Yeah,
it looks like they've actually got a new one called the Vault, which has, because obviously if you get the UAD, the inbuilt plugins they're not, you have to choose one of those, right? They're not included in the...
You get whatever comes with the device. You don't... Yeah, no bundles though.
But you get all of the plugins that come with the UAD.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, they've got this new one called the Vault that looks like it's got some like amp modeling or bus compressor modeling switches on the input, on the device itself.
Right, they've got compressors and they've got like a saturation-y thing going on as well.
So I'd go for that.
And are they modelled, I guess. Modelled.
I think the compressor is hardware, but I think that the vintage stuff is modelled potentially.
So a bit of a hack there on the interface?
A little bit, yeah. So you can kind of like, instead of having to have a compressor and a thing, you've got it in there. So yeah, one of those, the UAD Vault 4, which I think is the most amount of inputs and outputs. So you've got. Okay. If it's not, then I'll take more.
You could go. I don't think you can go up from there just yet.
I'm sure one.
But maybe in this hypothetical future we could.
Well, I mean, look, we can't. That's. Vault 4 is the biggest one.
Vault 4 is the biggest one. Vault 4.
Vault 4. Good. One of those.
One of those.
So we're changing up the interface slightly.
Almost.
For a change.
Incredible.
For a change,
incredible. Yeah.
But don't worry, we're still in there. Right, okay. And then DAW, so EJ.
We'll go dance EJ.
Yeah.
It's got plenty of loops.
Curveball. Love it.
That's all we need. No programming necessary.
That's spec'd out Mac running Windows with dancing
I'm actually probably not really bothered about making music anymore if I'm in this nice place in the forest. It doesn't matter. I'm retired.
Yeah. You can just get an assistant with EJ. Like, make another hit.
Oh, no, you can't do bundles. I was wondering if they do an EJ bundle. So you can have every genre covered.
No.
Okay.
No, for the DAW, DAW, whatever you say, I'd go for Ableton.
Okay.
Because the way I work mainly is through sampling. So I used Logic for a little period, and it's pretty good. But then the difference between Logic and Ableton with like the ease of manipulating samples is like night and day. I think I'm not sure what the latest Logic is like, but the Ableton kind of like audio functions is so easy, and it's also really detailed. So like the warp function, I feel like you can use it as an effect if you use the kind of time stretching, which now has become like the new equivalent of like what was that the bit of kit that Goldie would have used to kind of come up, like the S9000 sample or whatever it is.
S950,
they came up with that kind of like stretch sound,
that kind of like speed garage thing that was going on with vocals and
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Ableton sound is different, but that's kind of like, I feel like the new equivalent, and I actually have grown to really like the way that sounds on drums, on anything. Basically, it's kind of like a weird, like warped.
It's got its own vibe to it.
It's got its own vibe, yeah. Which I feel like is really good.
Have you checked FL Studio out since you left it? Because that's changed a lot and it's become really popular, hasn't it? Again.
Yeah. No, I haven't. I've never looked back.
Never looked.
So
it was FL. Logic, Ableton. That was your journey. Okay, so we're sticking with Ableton now.
And the other thing about the warp function is you can make stuff sound. You can make the edit sound really natural. So if you want to get like a sample where it's really wildly out of time, you can, with the warp markers, you can go in so hard that you can make it seamless. And it's really amazing.
I've seen people like speed up vocals as well, insane amounts, and they still sound natural by like going back in after the initial warp and then just rewarping the kind of the tremolo of the tails of the vocals, so it sounds like a natural
it's
vibrato. So the vibrato is natural, even though the vocals sped up massively.
It's crazy.
So what other tricks do you have like that then for making samples work together then?
I mean, in terms of like making them work together musically, it's kind of just luck of the draw almost. Like you can pitch stuff, but if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. But the key is just to sample so much stuff. Sometimes I might spend a day just sampling stuff and kind of arranging it a little bit and chopping stuff up, and then that means when I'm making music I can just drag and drop stuff that I've already done. Like I make samples
like you were using EJ.
Exactly. All comes back to EJ.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, exactly like that. I make like sampler instruments on the drum rack. So yeah, the way to make them work together is just trial and error, basically. And I've just got so used to it now. That's kind of like my instrument, I guess, is sampling.
And that's interesting that is a completely separate process for you then. Are you kind of jumping back in and resampling as you're making these tracks, or do you see them as separate?
I mean, it really depends. Like, a lot of the time it's separate. I might spend a day, go to a charity shop, buy a load of records, take them back, chop them all up. It's not organised. Like, I haven't got folders saying like keys, bass or anything like that. It's just sort of like, I'll chop a few things up and then I'll bank them and then I'll use them when I'm making tracks, or I'll just go straight in and just put a kick drum on and just start needle dropping and sampling stuff on the fly like that. So either way. So it's separate but not.
So
both,
let me ask this: how much stuff have you got that you can't release because of copyright or label stuff? Like
loads.
Yeah. No, but it must be to stay out of your own head thinking about that in the creative process and just think, I just want to make a good track. Let's figure out that stuff afterwards. It must be quite difficult. Like, especially if you find something. You've got it from charity, and you know that this is signed to a major or you don't label it as.
I mean, it is. It's much more of a problem now. Like, before, it's I didn't really worry about it because I wasn't sort of, the music wasn't being listened to by as many people. So I was just kind of like, let's do whatever. So I got really used to that.
There were more sort of DJ tools, I guess, as well as that kind of thing as well.
Yeah. It's definitely hard. I mean, you have like this new website called TrackLib. I don't know if you've seen that. That's actually really good. Cool. When I first started using that, I was like, nah, I can't do this. It's not the same. But they have a really good catalogue on there now. So I'm using that a bit more. But to be honest, it feels a little bit soulless to me to not have the record itself.
And it's part of the creative process, isn't it? Going and finding something and thinking, I'm the only one with this. And
exactly. And they get attached to like different memories, So if you go to a shop on a certain day and you buy a sample and you sample it and it's in a track, you listen to that track and you know exactly who you were with when you bought it and what you're doing and how you're feeling. So, and that I think must bleed into the music.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's the way this is the Dream Studio, so there's no sample clearance problems in the Dream Studio.
Royalty free.
Wow, that's a hot take. I don't know.
This is all a dream, right? So
there's publishers everywhere sweating over this idea.
in this industrial estate.
Yeah, exactly. In this very industrial. Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the audio interface, the computer, and the DAW all locked in there. So now we move on to the first item.
First item. I'm going to stick a Fender Rhodes in there.
Ooh. Because the new one? Old one?
V8? Old one. No,
okay.
Like one of the suitcase, like the original one.
Mm-hmm. What's wrong with the new ones, though?
I don't know. But I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, basically just because that's like, I mean, I only actually played on one for the first time a few weeks ago. But even before that, I was kind of always been obsessed with having one because it's just the sound of, I don't know, thousands of my favourite records. From like, hip hop records and then the records that they sampled, jazz records. Like, it's just, I think, the ultimate sounding instrument. And just, just like putting the sustain pedal on and hitting some notes on that is just the most, it's just one of the best things ever. So even if I don't use it in the tracks, I just want to have it in there. So I can play on it.
And
it's very soothing.
Are you a keyboardist as well then?
Yeah, I play the piano. Not super well, but like well enough now to do what I want to do. So
and to enjoy Rhodes, I mean, that'd be
exactly.
Like, say, even if you're not using it in your music, it's inspirational. Just have a real instrument.
So I definitely go for one of those, and then it gets a little bit tricky because there's an audio output on a Rhodes, right? So you don't need external amplification, but an amp would be another item, right, in the studio, like a guitar amp or a bass amp.
Yeah, well, you can get the Rhodes. You can buy them with like a suitcase thing under them, can't you?
Does that count as a bundle? No,
I don't think so. I think
it depends what you want. What do you want?
I mean, like, I want.
What do you want?
Let's run it past Will. I mean, let's just.
We've got to draw the line somewhere. Otherwise, it'd be madness.
If there's one with like a built-in amplifier or like a joined amplifier, then I'll take that. Just so there's a possibility of miking up the amp as well as just taking the audio output.
Yeah, look, the suitcase one. I think isn't that bottom bit. Sorry for everybody. We're looking at pictures of Rhodes on Google.
Yeah, there are.
You can do the same.
Okay, fine.
Look, leave it with you, Will, to make a call on it at the end. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right then. Well, for now, let's lock in a Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like a vintage Rhodes,
yeah.
And we'll move on to item number 2.
Item number 2 is going to be an upright piano, and the same upright piano that I've got in my studio, which is used to be my grandma's. Then she gave it to my mum. My mum's now giving it to me.
Oh man!
And it hasn't been tuned in a long time, but it sounds insane. Like, it sounds great. It's not anything fancy. But yeah, I'd have to have that in there. It's all over.
Has that been on any records? Album. Have you sampled it?
Yeah. It's been on. It's on like 3 or 4 of the tracks from my next album. It's definitely on a few from the first. Yeah, I mean, the way I recorded it for the album was just with my iPhone. So I put my iPhone on the side of the piano,
which is useful for this show because.
Yeah, because that's not.
You get a phone.
You're allowed a phone.
You're allowed a phone. Will's okay with phones.
So, yeah, I would just put the iPhone next to it, play, and a lot of the time I had the window open or the door open, so it kind of picks up that as well. Yeah. And then I'd resample it. And by the time you've done that, like the sound of it just it's pure nostalgia. Sounds great. So yeah, I'd have that piano in there for sure.
Question on that piano. If it hasn't been tuned for a long time, are you having to tune it up to fit with other parts in your track, or are you tuning things down to the piano?
I tune things down to the piano.
Nice.
Yeah.
So anybody trying to key match your records as a DJ, it's just like, just
won't. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not wildly out of tune.
No.
It's just like a little bit off.
Yeah.
But it sounds great.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of like I might start with a sample, play the piano along to the sample, so they kind of get them sitting together. Then everything anchors around those two things.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I guess the sample leads the key, the piano goes to the sample, and then everything else has to like get in line.
Yeah. But that's how like those tracks have a vibe as well, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, they're like a little bit dissonant.
Yeah,
Something's a little bit off. Like the samples don't quite. They clash a little bit. The low end is always quite muddy in my music as well. I try not to take anything out of the lows if possible.
Because there was a real fetish for that at one point, just like completely.
Yeah,
low
I don't think it sounds good.
Everything, like hi-hat, everything, just like
Yeah. People always like ask about how you get stuff sounding warm or how you get it sounding full. It's basically just like do less, do less EQ, just like stick stuff together, and let that, let that do the work essentially.
Yeah. So, loads of these samples then on your new record are just an iPhone recording of this upright piano in your house.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
I did some of it like with a microphone as well, but yeah, mainly on the phone, just propped on the side. It sounds great. It doesn't sound great like technically, it's not like No,
but it works into the music.
It works in the music, yeah.
It's servicing the song, isn't it? That's the main important.
Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't take that to like a pop engineer and say, "Here's your piano part."
Right.
Absolutely livid. If I was producing with someone else, I might not do that.
Yeah, or if you're engineering Elton John or something, you just go,
exactly.
Just go over to his piano and just go, and we're ready to go, Elton.
Welcome to the modern age. This is how all the kids are doing it, man. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, that's how I do it.
Nice. Item number 3.
Item number 3. I was a bit torn between, because it's the Dream Studio, going for like a space echo, or sticking with Soundtoys Echo Boy, because that's what I use all the time for many different things. And I think, like, reluctantly, I'm gonna have to go for Echo Boy because it's just more versatile than the real thing. The real thing would be fun to have. Like, imagine the Rhodes going into the Space Echo and then just like messing with the thing. But I feel like I'd get too carried away and that would become my whole
sound,
and I'd use it too much. And also, I don't think it's as versatile as the Echo Boy, because on the Echo Boy they've got all the different models of all of these different echoes.
Because there's a chorus echo, there's
loads, and
echo.
You can use it as a reverb. I use it on drums to like saturate stuff. Yes, I think it's the most versatile plugin I've got that I use. So I'm going to.
And when did you get that? Was it kind of like a revelation when you got it?
Yeah. Basically, it was like. I mean, I also use a decapitator quite a lot, but I found if I had to choose one, you can almost get the same result with Echo Boy, with a bit of tweaking of like the custom settings of the modelling part and the saturation. So yeah, you could use Echo Boy to add like a reverb, delay, saturator, kind of like weird slapback. It's it's a bit of a it's not that exciting choice, but it's necessary. It's the first functional choice that I've made in this thing.
The first one you're actually going to use in your music.
The one that's actually going to be used, yeah. The other one's just there either to look at or to play around with.
That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, I'm tempted to try and upsell you on something.
Okay,
Can
go
I?
on. Go ahead.
Upsell your dreams. How about an Echofix EFX2, which is like the updated version, recently made Space Echo. It's got some DSP reverb chorus bits and pieces in it.
Okay.
It's beautiful as well.
Big hardware box, like
big
the
hardware
Space
box,
one.
looks like a Space Echo.
Oh, it's got actual tape in it, so it's
got actual
hardware.
tape in it.
Okay.
So how does that work with the DSP stuff? Would you still have to go out of the interface and back in?
Yeah.
Use it as an external effect?
Yeah.
You would have to, yeah.
I mean, that sounds... If it's got a bit more...
You won't be able to
like,
do certain things with it, but
then you can control some of it on Ableton.
no, I don't think you can actually. I mean,
But it's got more than just an echo.
I don't think you're fully behind this upsell, Will. I can
Look,
tell.
I mean, I'm tempted. I need to get a look at it, maybe. But
it's. Look, do you know what?
it's an unknown.
I'm backing out of this upsell already. I'm just like walking it back, thinking.
I could tell when you went. There was probably some things you can't do. It's like, yeah, just
I mean, I think I'll play it safe. It does sound good.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be nice to have an actual box with a bit of tape in it.
Right, and you have the Forever Studio tech as well, so it's always perfectly updated.
Yeah.
They can change out that tape for you.
Oh, you have your own tech.
Yeah, we send some.
Will
out.
comes round.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, honestly.
Let's go for that then. Yeah, I'll take
You're
the
gonna go.
upside. Let's do
Okay,
it.
nice. Why not?
Feeling it.
Echofix EFX2 Blue.
That's it.
We'll make it work.
It's got a great name. It's not as cool as Space Echo though, as a name, isn't it? Like, yeah. Item number 4.
Number 4. So does this is another kind of boring one, but does a stereo pair of microphones count as 2 or 1?
Depends on the pair, but probably yes, it does count as 2.
Probably 2.
Okay.
Depends on what.
How many
it is.
items are we up to?
4.
You've
This
got-
is 4, so you got
3 left.
Ah, okay. Doing all right. All right, I'll take 2 AKG 414s.
Oh,
That's a bold move.
it's
Is
bold.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, just
Leave you with
I mean, I
one.
don't know that much about microphones.
One final item.
hang on, wait. So
Hang on. Maybe backtrack a little bit. We've got the Rhodes, the Echo, the piano.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need microphones to use the piano and the Rhodes.
Yeah, you're going to need one more other thing as well.
you
that
are.
You've missed.
Look,
Do monitors count as the?
Yeah, you haven't got any.
Joking.
yeah. They're absolutely. So
Sometimes I remind guests along the journey, and other times
But they
I like
count
to see
as
them.
1, not 2.
Yeah,
Just watch them
a pair
unravel
of-
in
a
real time as
A
we
pair
hit
of
item
monitors.
6.
Yeah, a pair of monitors isn't a bundle. That's fine.
Okay.
How about this? I'm going to do a genuine upsell right now.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, this is good upsell. This is good upsell. You're gonna like this.
So instead of having 2 414s,
Yeah.
what about the vintage C422 from the 80s, which was 2 C414s stacked above one another as a stereo pair?
That's it. Done.
That's the one?
That's perfect.
That's upsold.
yes!
That's 2
We did an
upsells in a row.
I can't believe that worked. That's brilliant.
That is great. Actually, that came up on another pod, didn't it? And
Saw me coming.
yeah,
That's a good hack. Yeah.
C422. Yeah, nice.
It's a beautiful
Okay.
mic, that as well.
I just sort of pasted it in it like in a giant font. Surprised me. Sorry. Okay.
All good.
So yeah, that's great. So that is basically 2 of those in one mic.
2
That's
414s
exactly what I was
in
looking
a
for,
single item. Yeah, that's the
Thanks.
that's the
That's a
cheat
good hack.
code.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's
it is. Yeah, you've enabled that cheat. Okay, item number 5 then. You've still got 2 more left. 5 and 6.
Yeah, great.
Item 5.
Let's go for the monitors. So I'm going to go maybe like a little bit rogue because I know this is kind of a mad choice for considering you can have any monitors in the world.
I've got an
I'm gonna
upsell here.
for a pair of Rocket 8s.
Could have chosen the boulders.
The big rockets.
Do you know the boulders?
No, that's on theme though. Cause
Yeah, exactly.
What are the
Unity Audio
boulders?
boulders.
Unity
yeah.
Audio boulders.
Are they like big round ones?
They're not round, no, but they are big.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Not climbing big. Not climbing big, but they are boulders.
Not interested.
Not interested unless they're round, perfectly spherical.
Are the boulders the big ones or the little ones? There's
They're
boulders.
the biggest ones, I think.
Okay. There's another rocks.
Yeah.
The pebble. No,
They didn't do the
wasn't
pebble. I don't think so.
But yeah, I'm going to go for some. The Rocket 8s are the big solid ones, right?
Yeah. Rockets. Really?
Yeah, because like I've used different speakers over the years. Like I started off with something terrible, like old Alesis or something like that, really cheap ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first decent pair of monitors I had was the Adam A7s, which I really loved. And I was tempted to choose those because they're a lot flatter. But then I had a period where I was using those and a borrowed pair of Rocket 8s. And I noticed that my mixes were actually better in the Rockets. And you basically just can't argue with the result. So I think I go for those. And also,
Rockets, V8s?
What's the deal with having other people, like if I was going to do an album, I'd have it mixed down eventually by someone else anyway.
Right. Okay.
So is that still allowed, or?
Yeah. That's allowed, yeah. I mean, we haven't cut out every other person on the planet from
so I can still work with other people.
You can still work with other people, yeah.
That is Will's master plan.
Bearing that in mind,
don't use that expression.
I'd be more inclined to stick with the Rockets because you can turn the bass up on the back. You can we get a bit of vibe going.
To be fair, they are
just
popular
fun,
because they sound a bit like club speakers as well, don't
exactly.
they? That's the thing.
Just,
so if you're mixing for that environment,
yeah, and also just like I want to be having fun in there. I don't really want flat speakers because it makes everything sound boring.
Yeah.
And if I'm writing music, I want it to be loud.
There was a big trend for that,
like bassy,
with the big Mackies back in the day, the HR828s or whatever, the big old Mackies, because they kind of sounded like a PA speaker.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A good quality PA speaker. And a lot of dance music producers had them either as their mains or as a second, just because you could hear what it's going to sound like on that kind of system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I go for the Rockets, the big Rockets, and just turn them all the way up.
Can we upsell on KRKs though? It feels like there's got to be V8s, not Rocket 8s, right? The Timbaland ones.
The Timbaland ones.
That sounds good too.
Yeah, okay.
That's
kind of
the V series.
The V
this
series.
is new sample pack earlier.
Oh, Beat Club stuff, yeah.
No, it's called Bounce Coming Up.
Yeah, I think it's
Is it Beat Club?
part of the Beat Club thing that he's launched, yeah.
Advert video is well funny.
Is that with Timberlake in it as well?
Yeah.
It's great.
It's one of my most if I want to get hyped up for the studio, I always watch that video.
He's got such
She's
good
just
energy,
the beats are so good.
I think this is the upsell. So above the Rockets, there's the V series of KRKs.
Okay.
So it's still a KRK sound.
They're still big.
Big. Go up to 8s. So yeah, and I think they were potentially kind of the Timbaland style ones at one point. Maybe not anymore, but I know he was using KRKs at one point.
It's good enough for him. It's good enough for me. For sure.
And you'll still have that KRK sound. They'll just be a bit higher end,
better.
Yeah, than the Rockets.
Yeah.
Because the Rocket's kind of the entry-level journey, and then I think the V-Series is the Pro studio range.
So that's three
another good
upsells in a row. But that mean I'm losing? Or?
No, you're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to foot the bill for this, so we're losing.
Yeah. Although I do like the idea of it becoming a contest.
Yeah, I thought
try and outdream each other.
Yeah. You'd just be like, nah, that's a bad idea. You want this. But then it just becomes our podcast and, we don't need guests.
It just basically becomes gear space, doesn't it?
It just becomes a
No, you actually want this one.
Yeah.
I mean, getting someone to dream bigger than a pair of Rockets is a pretty easy upsell, I reckon.
But this is a good choice, though. So fun in the studio.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you're working on.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of like...
So what's your monitor journey been, though? So with the Rockets, the first,
I've actually never had a pair, but I had a pair that I borrowed for a while, and in that period that I borrowed them, I found that my music sounded and was better.
So what are you using right now? You still got the Adams?
Now I'm using iPhone earphones at home, or just the speakers on my laptop.
Wow.
And then in the studio, I think they're Neumann. It's something that my brother got. They're quite nice.
The KH.
So kind of like small...
Yeah,
small ones.
They could be KH 120s or something.
All the Neumann ones,
and they're quite nice. And there's like a mono box in there as well, which is pretty helpful. But yeah, if I'm writing music, half the time I just do it on the laptop speaker.
Wow,
and kind of guess everything, and then that kind of works well with the low end stuff because you don't really know what's going on. Sometimes you go in there and it just sounds amazing.
Yeah,
not always, obviously, but you're not hearing how good it is. And you're already excited about how it sounds on there.
Yeah.
And when you take it to the studio, you're like, wow, this is even better than I
get
thought.
the extra, It's like just bonus material that was lurking there.
Yeah, it's just ways of I don't know, tricking yourself or just keeping things a bit, leaving a lot of stuff up to chance is what I like to do, basically. Or the same way with the samples, you kind of leave room for things to happen that you haven't specifically done. So, don't cut so much low end. Make things that aren't in key go together. Yeah, just randomise it a little bit.
Well, a lot of those big dance music there's a lot of early dance records where it was those accidents that made it sound fat. Like
exactly, yeah.
I remember that with "Show Me Love," the Stonebridge remix. I think there was some kind of his kick was in G by accident, and it just became this massive chunky. Because of the
exactly
putting stuff together. Before everybody used to key match kicks to everything and stuff, and you just use their ears and like that sounds fat. So
exactly. Yeah, I think if you're too purposeful with everything, I mean it's different for everyone. Obviously, some people are really good at having an idea and executing that like exactly how they want. But for me, if I'm too purposeful with what I'm doing, then it always ends up sounding bad, basically.
Like drained of energy, like it's like
it just doesn't feel right, and it's too like it's basically just trying like the path of least resistance at all times, basically.
Okay.
And usually like it works out better for me.
And it's good that because it's hard to stick with that. Like, you know, when you've had as your career goes on, it's hard to stick with what works because you might have more money for gear, you might have different spaces, and you get influenced by other people because you're meeting more producers and stuff, and it's like you start start muddying the water of your own creative process.
Yeah, and there's a bit of extra pressure as well, and maybe like if you're releasing on bigger labels or like in a more mainstream setting, like there's a call for the mixdowns to be better, or I don't know. There's lots of different factors,
and you start thinking about that's what I was
you
saying.
Just start overthinking everything. Yeah.
Am I going to be able to clear this sample? Should I be doing it like this? Oh, it's for this. Is it going to go on the radio? Do I need to do
exactly. Yeah,
and you haven't even made the track yet.
Yeah, which is crazy. And it's really hard to get rid of that. And you need to, because like the making of the music is supposed to be the one bit where you don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
So if you're then muddying that as well, then like you might as well just stop.
Just get out to the boulders at that point.
Just leave. Exactly.
Out to the boulders. Right, we're on to the final item number 6.
I need a turntable so I can sample records. So nice. I would go for like Torrens or Thorens, whatever they are. One of those really just the fanciest one. Does a needle count as?
Yeah,
we're not gonna.
Yeah, that would be splitting hairs.
Yeah.
One of those, belt drive. Because I think if it's belt drive, there's less noise when you sample it in, so the quality is a bit better.
And I guess you don't need like big pitch movements or stuff like that.
That's a good point, actually.
It's nice to just play with stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, the one I use at the moment is an Audio Technica, and it goes
20%,
plus 20, and it goes in reverse. You know what? Actually, I'd stick with the.
And it's got USB out, that one, right, as well, which isn't too bad. Isn't too bad, actually. The ADDA on it is like I use it all the time.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, I'll stick with the because being able to do it in reverse, if you've got like a drum loop going, you kind of, when you're needle dropping, minus 20% and in reverse, you get some pretty cool stuff. So I'll go Audio Technica, it's ATLP 120. Or if there's a fancy version of that, if there's an upsell going on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
There might be
But it has to have the plus 20, or even if there's one with plus 30.
It's basically like Audio Technica's riff on a 1210, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh wait, 140, there we go.
That's the upsell.
That's the upsell. LP 140, I don't know why, it's just better quality, but it's exactly the same. But it must just be better spec.
It's direct drive.
Done.
Yeah. Oh, it's direct drive there.
Actually, no, so is the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think that's worth having that to have the pitch.
Yeah.
Because the pitch is actually pretty useful.
And you don't get the noise on USB as well, I don't think. It's not too bad. It's only when you go over the phonos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the USB is good.
Okay. Upsold again.
Upsold. Goodness.
Pure upsell.
All right.
That's quality deck though for anybody watching or listening. It's great. I think it's great value, that deck.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's also they're good for DJing on.
Yeah.
Too. I've got a pair that I mix on, and it's kind of like it feels a little bit strange to go from that to a 1210 because the pitch fade on the 1210 is a bit heavier, but they're the closest you can get, I reckon. And they are a third of the price, half the price.
Yeah,
about 250 quid each.
Yeah, with the 140 is what, 419 it says there.
Yeah,
so.
Even the upsell is not an unreasonable amount.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Excellent. Right, well, what's left next is for Will to do a little rundown. So have a listen.
Okay.
He's going to run down the studio, see what this, visualise it, think about it, and then while we're doing that, think of your luxury item, which isn't a bit of studio kit. So
I've thought about this. I'm not sure if it's gonna fly, but
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay, so run us through it, Will.
We're in Fontainebleau, in your ex machina sunken house in the woods, surrounded by boulders.
Yep.
There's a nice sofa, beautiful bed, wooden everything, in a giant open plan living, kitchen, dining area.
Who am I? Yeah, perfect.
For your free items, you've chosen a top-spec Mac M2 Max laptop. Your interface is a UA Vault 4. Your DAW is Ableton Live Suite 11. We'll give you Suite, don't worry. Of your 6 items, the first is a Mark I Fender Suitcase Rhodes with a built-in amp. It's allowed. For your second choice, you have your family's upright piano.
Yep.
You've gone for effects for an Echofix EFX2 Space Echo update. Your microphone is an AKG C422 stereo model. For your monitors, you have a pair of KRK V8s. And your final item is an Audio-Technica AT-LP 140XP turntable.
Great.
How does that work?
Perfect. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Hearing it back, now I'm just like, I need to work out a way to make this happen for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all seems relatively doable, though, all this stuff.
It's nothing crazy.
It's just the location, really, isn't it?
Just
It's just like
yeah.
getting someone to build a sunken studio in the middle of a forest.
In a national park, probably.
It is a national park, yeah.
Permits me a nightmare.
Yeah. So let's finish the studio off with a luxury item then. What have you been thinking about for this?
So what I was thinking, I mean, it depends what you call an item. I was thinking like, if it was like a luxury thing to have, then like an on-site charity shop that gets restocked every week with music with vinyls from around the world. A record shop, essentially, well, maybe everything. Yeah, that would be it. So every week they have like a drop of random records from around the world, and then I just get to go in there every day. Everything's £1.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be free because it's for charity, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Obviously.
But that is an issue, like, not against giving to charity, obviously, but like, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? You go in now, you find a record, and it's like, it's £17. And you're like, right, okay.
It's mad. I saw one...
They're all the charity shop volunteers are on Discogs or something.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a James Blake record in one recently. I think it was in Stoke Newington, and it was 70
That's
quid.
So Stoke Newington. Sorry,
you just see it placed in the window, walk past the cafe with a queue outside. You see a James Blake vinyl in the charity shop.
Charity shops I go in always have like John Denver and like Cliff Richard and stuff. It's like
no disrespect to James Blake. It's a great record, but 70 quid's pushing it.
Yeah,
70.
But then again, it's for charity, so I guess maybe it's a good thing. But I didn't buy it. But
it does mean like you don't. It's very rare I find bargains anymore when doing
they're really hard to come by.
Yeah.
There's a shop that I'm going to plug right now actually called Ben's Records, which is in Guildford where I grew up, and it's amazing. The prices they've definitely gone up, but they're still kind of...
It's all about turnover rather than...
Exactly, it's about like he just keeps going round and round and round. I think that's how he makes his money. There's nothing really over £5, and there's not always, but like a lot of the time there's some amazing records in there. And sometimes if you get lucky, like maybe someone's just sold I think there was one guy, there was a whole box of 90s house.
Yeah.
And the story was that his wife had told him he had to sell all his records. Yeah. And then I swooped in the next day and just, you just make an offer for the whole crate. And then you come up with like some absolute gold.
I had a few of those. But it's a bit sad sometimes, isn't it? You go and look, and as you're flicking through, you can just see somebody's like musical taste, and you're like...
Yeah. And so I have like little
you've
notes
given
on
all
them.
these up, or what's happened here? Yeah. It's a bit sad. Like, what's happened? Yeah. You really fell out of love with country music, didn't you? Or whatever.
Got bored of Glenn Campbell.
This whole chunk of... Or just like you see one artist and like their whole career, because like somebody's just gone,
all of the
yeah. But yeah, I used to love that, going in and being like, how much for the whole box? And they'd be like, and you going out like,
yeah, exactly. I've done it, and he's probably going like, what idiot.
I do notice one other thing with your selections here is that you don't have any synths. Is that by design, or is it just because you ran out of space?
I ran out of space.
What would you have had if you could have?
Probably like a Korg Poly 6.
Okay, so hardware,
like one of the real nice polys. Korg Poly 6, maybe like a Prophet or actually if we go that's tricky. I was going to say like a CS80 just because it'd be cool to have one, but then I don't think it's got that much use in what I'm actually doing. Right. I just want to pretend to be Vangelis for an afternoon.
Yeah,
I think that's a legitimate reason to want one.
So maybe. It's not happening anyway. So
it's not happening.
So
just
say CSA.
Interested to know. Yeah. Okay. Well, not allowed it, but good to know.
Well, that kind of brings us to the end of the podcast. I mean, what's going on for you for the rest of the year? DJing, releases?
going to be DJing pretty heavily from kind of like next week, well into the summer. Album's coming out. Second album's coming out in June-ish, and that's like a kind of like new-ish direction. So there's some house music on there, but there's also a lot of stuff with vocalists, some rappers, all kind of based around like the sampling aesthetic. But yeah, really excited to get that out there.
So it's the next single, and then an album in June, end of June.
Yeah.
Nice.
2 more singles than the album.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been done for a really long time. So it's been done for like a year and a half maybe. And there's been like a couple of changes, but through like just things not working out, it's not come out. I think I've kind of finished it just after the pandemic. So yeah, really excited to finally get it out. And yeah, going to tour it with a live band eventually as well. So plenty of stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, wicked.
What's that lineup looking like for your band?
At the moment, it's going to be me and a drummer, tentatively, but like essentially you want to add as many people as possible, but it's going to be obviously dependent on costs and stuff
touring.
Like that. It's really new for me, so I kind of got to feel it out a little bit first and figure out what we're going to do.
But it'll be like a live show, like a gig, or live show like a club style
live show
thing?
Like a gig, yeah. More like a concert than a...
Than like a club live show.
Yeah, it's not gonna, I'll stick to DJing for that. So there'll be 2 separate things, basically.
Oh, nice.
So sort of festival friendly, do we think?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
cool.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Lawrence,
nice
thank you.
Thanks
Cheers.
a lot.
Well, another great show. As always, so good. We're so good at this, Will. I love the luxury item here. A charity shop.
Charity shop, but also...
Giving back.
Giving back.
While taking bargain vinyls.
Is it giving back?
I don't know.
To the universe. Anyway, he is undoubtedly the person with whom we've upsold the most streams.
Yeah, 4 in a row.
4 in a row, yeah. Incredible.
And like you said, does that make us winners? I don't know if it is a contest, but I feel like a winner. Okay? Okay.
Good. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time for another adventure into Studio Foreverdom. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.